Okay. So just on top of that, I'd like to let you all know that you can all share your audio and your video, and we would ask that while our guest speakers are actually presenting to you, that everybody would remain on mute just to eliminate any background noise. But the chat box that you've just been using there to reply to me will be open throughout the session, and you'll be able to enter any questions that you might have in there. And I have my colleague Brian with me, who will be manning that chat box and just making sure that everything is running smoothly. This is a networking event, so we do hope that you will get as involved as possible, and that when we do go out into our breakout rooms, that you'll take that opportunity to share your audio and video and really interact with our guest speakers and get as much from this session as you possibly can. And I did issue an email, a joining email to you, and it did list all of our speakers for today. So just to recap on that, we have Naomi McConnell, who is a recent Ulster graduate from last year. We have Sarah Delaney from PwC, who are one of our leading graduate employers. We have Jonathan Golden, who is a producer at Doubleband Films. And we also have Pat McKenna, who is from the Department for Economy, and he will talk to us about assured skills programs. So I can see everybody, Brian has asked you to put in your degree program. So I think everybody has had an opportunity to do that now. So just so we can keep on track and get through this in a timely manner, we will kick off with our first speaker. And we are going to start with Naomi. Now, Naomi doesn't actually have any slides to share with us, so she's just going to have a chat. So hopefully everybody can see her and will be able to hear her. So Naomi, over to you.
Hi, I'm Naomi, and I graduated in July 2019 with a degree in sociology. So literally a year ago, I was in your shoes, not knowing what to do, what to expect. So when I graduated on the 4th of July, so it's just coming up to a year. And obviously the world out there, you never know what you want to do. Doing sociology is quite a broad degree. I'd done modules in social policy, law, sociology, health and social policy. So I was like, do you want to go into the health sector? And I did apply for jobs in the health sector, and then I seen a graduate program had come up in a company in Newry, which is quite local to where I live. So I applied. It was quite a broad scope, just about business management and getting into local business and growing yourself within a business. So Cocoon Drugs is where I'm currently employed by. I'm in their graduate scheme. This is the first time they've ever done a graduate scheme, and it's quite a broad business. So they follow a lean business strategy, which some of you may know, some of you may not, but they invest in an individual more so than the company. So when they employ somebody, they look at you, they look at your skills base, they look at your personality, and they look at what you want to be and what your drive is. So when I applied for the graduate program, I just sent my CV through, which is really important. Some employers take application processes, but some employers will still ask for a CV. I know when I was at uni, some people said, oh, you'll never need a CV, but you do. And I think for me, when I was doing my CV, I done it quite different. It wasn't just the standard black and white. And when I went to the interview, they noticed that. So if you are making a CV, try and make it a wee bit different. Maybe don't go out there mad, but just try and make it a wee bit different, more to show your personality more so than anything. So when I went up, it wasn't the standard interview process either, which I know a lot of businesses are moving away for. It's more just a coffee chat, as they call it, to take you up, just to get to know you more so, because your CV tells them what you have achieved academically, but they want to know who you are. So the coffee chat just asked me like what I got up to the weekends, like what my part-time jobs have been in, see what sort of thing I was interested in. So I went for the first coffee chat, and then they do a morning meeting every morning with the whole company. So I was invited to that the week after. So I just went to the morning meeting, seeing how the company worked, and then I was invited back again. So the third time it was more like the standard interview, asked me questions, but still very relaxed and very casual. But they, since I've been recruited by them, they've said the main thing that they were looking for in their graduate was their skills. And a skill set is like top line when you're applying for jobs. Yes, they like degrees, they like the education side, but you need to have a good skill set. And like one of the most important skills for them was flexibility and adaptability. Fast moving paces business are moving in at the minute, especially in the current situation. Nobody knows what tomorrow holds when we're in this pandemic. Like I was in the office 6 months, and I've been working from home since March, and we've just sort of had to take it. and every day's been different. And as we're an online business too, we didn't know what the online market held. So we just sort of had to take every day, and it was survival mode is what we were put in. We had a meeting one day at work, and it's like we either push for the business to grow or it'll collapse. And that's the reality too with yourself when you're applying for a job. You just have to push. You'll read job applications and you might not think you meet the criteria, but honestly, just apply. When you get through, they might think you're more capable for the job than the person who meets every single specification on the list, just because you have the different skill set and you're willing to work, which I think is really important. Also skills development, put yourself out there, do a wee bit of volunteering. I volunteered all last summer before I got a job. I didn't get a job to the end of August, but I know some people who I graduated with last year still haven't got jobs. They've just been moving between part-time jobs and volunteering for other people. So if the whole job process, I know at the minute it's hard, there's not very much out there at the minute, but things will come up. Just keep hopeful, just keep looking out. Contact people yourself if there's no jobs up. Ask, is there anything coming? If there's any likelihood of jobs coming up, any openings, even shadowing, work shadowing, because if you get your name in there and get yourself in there, people will appreciate that and note willing to put yourself out there and put yourself on the line, which I think is really important to applying and just out of uni. Personal career journey. I have worked across 3 departments since I've started, which is really good benefit of a graduate program. Normally a graduate program will be set in stone what you are. If you're applying for maybe a job like a marketing executive, you will know what you're doing. Whereas the graduate program normally is a bit more flexible, you move about. So I've worked across customer services, sales and accounts, which is experience I never thought I'd get being a sociology graduate, but honestly I couldn't beat it. It's experience that I'd never probably have got anywhere else, and it's experience that I can put into any other business if I ever do go to move. Cocoon Drugs invest in people, if you know what I mean. They are really interested in you, interested in your improvement. If there's anything you're wanting to do, your training, they are happy to put you in that position, which I think other employers are welcome to do too, but maybe just never get asked, like, could I see what this person does in this other department? If you do get into a role and there's other departments in the company that you'd like to see, just ask. Every employer is welcome to show you your business. It's what they've grown, it's what they've built themselves, and they're happy to show that to other people. So I think that's a really important thing if you get into a job, and there's always a chance to build yourself up and grow yourself through a business. Just if you start in a position that maybe you're not happy with or not what you always hoped for, try it out. It could be better than you expect, and within maybe a year, 2 years, you could be in the position that you once wanted. You don't always get your dream job straight away, unfortunately. I've noticed that with applying for jobs, ones I really wanted, you don't always get, but the grass is always greener. And honestly, I've loved my experience at Cocoon. We are employing at the minute. We have really took into survival mode with the current pandemic, and we are growing our business. We are recruiting for a marketing executive at the minute. If anybody's interested in that, you can just check out Cocoon Drugs, and we have 3 roles up there at the minute. If anybody is interested or have done marketing or communications or anything like that. But yeah, just invest in yourself. You're your best person to sell yourself, so just invest in yourself and take time when you're doing the processes and interviews, and develop your skills would be the main thing. Communication and adaptability and flexibility. Just work on yourself and see what's out there, and the company will accept you and they're willing to work with you too. So if it maybe doesn't fit for you, just tell them, like, well, I would like this, I would like to know that, and see what they say, because the world's a big place and everybody is recruiting. It maybe just isn't advertised yet, or it's through some third body that we don't know about. But NI jobs is where I found mine. They're quite good for graduate programs, I think. I just had a set up an NI jobs reminder, and every Monday they emailed me all the new graduate programs through. So if you are looking for jobs at the minute, I know you are graduating without ceremony, but there is still jobs out there, and I'm sure you are looking for jobs. So if you just need to set up wee reminders like that, just to get your name out there, and you can just actually, mostly on NI jobs, attach your CV and it'll be automatic applications, which is handy too, because you're not constantly and feel like you're applying to 1,000 jobs at once and filling in your details 1,000 times, because I know how exhausting that is. but you will get there. Honestly, it's so hard this year. I tell you all, I have so many friends are graduating, and it's so uncertain for them all. But honestly, you will get there. We all did. But just invest in yourself.
That's brilliant, Naomi. That's great. So a nice light-hearted start to our session, and I think what I've picked up from that is, the importance of really pushing yourself out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Okay. So, especially in the current situation where jobs are maybe at a premium, can you take on something else and perhaps position yourself within a company and then move around and get into the department or that dream job that you really want? So that's been really, really interesting. And another point just to pick up for our students who have joined us about the importance of skills. And I'm sure when we get into the question and answer session that there'll be a lot more that you can share about your skills and what you did. And also about the opportunities that you currently have there within your company. So, I'm sure if anybody has any questions, they could connect with you on that. Okay, so fantastic, Naomi, a great start for us. And I think now what we'll do is we'll move on to Sarah at PwC. Now, Sarah does have some slides, so please bear with me while I just get those shared at the moment. And there we go. So hopefully you can all see that, Sarah. Is that okay for you?
Laura. Yes,
okay,
I can see them. Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah.
We can hear you, yes.
Fab. Okay. So yeah, welcome everybody. I'm just going to talk a little bit about PwC and the skills we look for and some opportunities that we have as well. So a lot of what I'm going to say actually echoes a lot of what Naomi says, which is quite interesting. So I will talk to you about some skills for the future. So PwC completed some research, and this is the World Forum prediction for increased demand for certain skills. So there are social and emotional skills, and these are called soft skills. So they include sort of advanced communication, negotiation, empathy, the ability to learn continuously, to manage others, and to be adaptable. So some roles that this might be relevant for would include business development, programming, emergency response, and counselling potentially would all call for skills that are soft skills. And then we have higher cognition skills, higher cognitive skills. So they include things like advanced literacy, writing, quantitative statistical skills, critical thinking, and complex information processing. So careers like that would be doctors, accountants, research analysis, writers and editors potentially, and they're the type of problems and roles that will be the least likely to be replaced by automation in the future. So those sorts of anyone who's studying science and lots of other degrees would have those skills. And then we have technological skills. So that's everything from basic IT skills, like using, your Microsoft Word, Office, and Excel, to data analysis, engineering, and research skills as well. So those are the skills that are the most likely to be rewarded as companies seek more software developers, engineers, robotics, and scientific experts as well. So those would be the highest in demand sort of in the coming years. So what skills do PwC look for specifically? So we have a leadership framework that we use, and this is for every stage of recruitment. So anything from graduates to experienced hire to school leavers, all are recruited based on this network. And it's also the network that we use to continuously manage performance of our people as well. So I will explain each to you in turn. So it's a 5-part model. So you have whole leadership, and whole leadership is things like teamwork, problem solving, decision making. And it's also about your personal development. So whole leadership is leading a team, but it's also leading yourself. So it's how you organize your time and structure your learning, as well as working in a team. And then we have business acumen, which is having a quality in everything you do, always looking for improvement and thinking commercially. So that would be about how much you understand business and how you can apply those analytical skills and your problem solving abilities. And then there are technical capabilities. So the main way we can measure this for graduates and school leavers is knowledge of the role that you've applied for. So it's always important, no matter what career you've applied for, that you know exactly what it is you're going to do. And that applies for absolutely any job. You will almost 100% be asked the question, why do you want the job, or why do you want to work here? It's also your ability to learn and knowledge in the skills that you have as well, and striving for quality. And then we have global acumen. So that's about seeking new perspectives and striving for collaboration, being open-minded to meeting new people, perhaps having different cultural expectations. So you might have an understanding that everyone's different, and you have that collaborative thinking with people from different backgrounds to yourself. And then we have relationships. So arguably this may be the most important. So we don't have a product, we sell our people. So we're a professional services firm. So this is very important to us, and it's about your communication skills and how you build relationships with others and work together with other people. So you can see that slightly overlaps with whole leadership, but it's really about looking after each other. We have a real emphasis on care and looking after your fellow co-workers, and we really do hold that at the heart of everything that we do. So this is a Pwc framework, but it is transferable to other employers as well. So it'll have different wording and different names, but essentially it would be the same sort of things that all employers are really looking for whenever they're recruiting. So if you have a look at that, you may have some areas that you're stronger in than others, and some areas that you feel you have loads of examples for, and some that you're not so sure. That's okay. And actually, as Naomi said, now is the perfect time to be working on that and filling in those gaps and getting yourself more experience. So some suggestions for how to do that. So you can upskill yourself at this time. So it's actually the perfect opportunity. There's lots and lots of volunteering opportunities out there, even though you may not be volunteering in person. There's lots of things that you can do. So you can help out at your local food bank. There's a thing online called In Your Area. You can use that to find local communities that you can help. You volunteer now, so you can sign up to help them as well. You've got HNI, and they're doing a thing called the Big Knit, and you can also volunteer to speak to elderly people and maybe run errands for elderly people and help them out in that way as well. And then there's also food packages and toiletries and underwear and things you can send to other countries as well that need it. So there's lots of different ways. That's just a few ideas of how you can upskill yourself. But have a look at what's available in your area and what you can do to improve some of those skills that you maybe find that you don't quite have just yet in our framework. So some opportunities that PwC have. So we have lots of different opportunities for graduates. So we have different work experience opportunities, and we have graduate opportunities of all different levels. So we have office open evenings. So we do interactive days. You can come in and see everything that we do and helps you decide what sort of career that you would like with us. And then we have Females of the Future, which is a one-day program designed to help you build your confidence and resilience skills and to find out what's important for your future career. And that helps you learn as well more about PwC and the opportunities that we have. Then we have the Talent Academy. So this year it'll be virtual, unfortunately, but we usually bring you in on a 2-day placement. We take you to the Culloden and you meet lots of people in our business. You get to meet partners. You can have dinner and network with the partners, and you'll also learn more about yourself and your business purpose and what you have to offer in the business world. And then we have Women in Business and also Women in Tech. So it's a 3-day paid placement, and you come in and you work closely with a variety of females at all grades, so inspirational females that we have in our business, and to understand and experience firsthand the nature of the work that they do. And we are very passionate about technology, so there is lots of opportunities in our tech teams as well. So that's why they are 2 different placements. Yes, Brian's just said you guys are all graduating in summer. And I figured that from the start. So obviously this stuff maybe isn't relevant to you, but you potentially have friends that it would be. So maybe if you want to share with any of them. So we also have summer internships, and we have work placements as well, which are 11 months. And then for you guys, we have graduate opportunities. So we have lots of different graduate paths that you can go on. And you study for professional qualification at the same time as working full-time. So over the course of 2 to 3 years, depending on what you study, you can become fully qualified in accountancy or tax or tech teams as well. So there's lots of opportunities as well for grads. This year, all of our roles close quite early, so they usually close in springtime. So at the minute we don't have anything available for this September. There may be something coming up over the summer, but it might not. But you can always look for next year as well, and in the meantime, you could work on those skills as well. to improve sort of your knowledge and to make your experience fit the leadership framework as well. So that is everything from me. Thank you so much. I don't know if there's any questions there, Brian, that I've missed, or I can just pick them up then whenever we have the breakout sessions.
I don't think there were any questions. I was sort of keeping an eye on that myself there as well. But thank you so much, Sarah. It's really interesting just to, I think, for our students to be able to see how PwC is open to students from a variety of different subject areas. So you don't necessarily have to be from a technology background or a finance background and things like that. So, but really, really interesting then as well that both you and Naomi now have spoken about the importance of skills and the transferability of those across you know, different organizations and different companies. And it was really interesting then as well that you were able to pull out some ideas for people of how they can actually develop some of those skills, even though we are in such uncertain times. So again, that's probably things that you can discuss a wee bit more as you go into the breakout and question and answer sessions. So if anybody does have any questions for Sarah, I'm sure she'll be more than happy once we get into that more informal setting just to answer all of those for you.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
And then we will go to, so we're not too presentation heavy, we'll go to Jonathan next because he actually doesn't have any slides, he's just going to talk to you. So Jonathan, over to you.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good stuff. Okay, look, so welcome everybody, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to come to participate in this today and just talk about what I do and you know my background in education and how I made the transfer from that into the industry. So I'm Jonathan Golden. I work as a producer and a director with an independent production company called Doubleband Films in Belfast. There's about 12 of us in the company, and we make factual programs for BBC Northern Ireland, for BBC Network, Channel 4, for RTE and TG Cahir. I've worked for the industry now just over 20 years, which is kind of pretty hard to believe. And as a producer and a director, that involves, you know, me producing and directing, making programs, and also being a development producer. And that means, you know, that entails originating, developing, and writing proposals and treatments for programs. I'm a former graduate of the Ulster University. I studied in Jordanstown and graduated in 1995 with the BA Honours in Modern Studies in the Humanities. My major was literature, and then I went on and I did an MA in Anglo-Irish literature at Coleraine. And I graduated there in 1996. I suppose it's worth me saying what I was interested in doing at that stage and how it bears on what I do now. Whenever I was studying, I was always considering. I didn't embark on teacher training, but I embarked on my degree, and I was always interested in teaching and perhaps lecturing at that stage. But when I was doing my MA, I participated in a 6-month tutoring program, which kind of put me out to a secondary school in Belfast for an afternoon over a 6-month period, and that gave me a taste of teaching. And while I liked it and I enjoyed it, it also proved to me that maybe it wasn't for me, and it made me think about my career. And then I decided to really kind of go for what was my kind of second interest, which was television production, and go for that. So in preparation for the completion of my MA, I had applied for what it was called at the time a CSV media training scheme, which was connected to BBC Northern Ireland here and a company called eForce Training. Now, so I left the MA and I embarked on that. And while that course was very, very basic in terms of its kind of, you know, it's very just basic introduction to, you know, to radio and television skills, I think that what was really good about that was it had a 6-month placement program, and it everybody who was on the scheme spent 6 months then in a company. And I was very lucky at that stage to get my placement with Doubleband Films, as it happens, and after spending a 6-month period with them, I stayed with them and trained with them. And then I went on to work for other companies, including BBC Northern Ireland, and then eventually returned to Doubleband Films. And I haven't looked back since, you know, and I'm now over 20 years in the industry, and that's quite hard to believe. In terms of career progression, in the industry, I started out, really at the bottom, as a, in my early days as a production assistant, and I moved up to become a researcher, an assistant producer, and then you eventually become a producer and then a director. When you fully become a fully fledged producer and director, you're trusted for the first time with actually, delivering a program or a documentary to a major broadcaster, and that's very, very daunting at that stage, But by that stage, you've learnt the skills, you've learned how to do it, and you're working with a team, and it nearly comes natural to you by that stage. But for me, there was a good, that's a good 10-year period, where you kind of work up the ladder from being a very, new rookie as a production assistant up to producer director level. And it takes a while, and there's a lot of skills that you learn and develop along the way. So in that period, my experience, I suppose, talk a little bit generally about that without being too specific. I mean, my career, I've worked on sports documentaries, history programs, observational series that have been based in everywhere from hospitals to prisons to farms. It's in my career's seen me working in lots of different environments, meeting lots of different people from a lot of different backgrounds and walks of life, and that's what's kind of interesting about this job, and very, very stimulating. Just travel involved in it too. Very early on in my career, I ended up going to Russia, Rwanda, and Africa. So I can take you around the world, really. I think, so we'll talk a little bit about skills now and the kind of transfer of skills from, my studies into the industry. I think it's worth really talking about too that, I didn't go to university to study media studies, so I didn't come into the industry with media studies training, or having learned a lot about that. I came into the industry with virtually no experience, really. I came into the industry with an interest. I came into the industry with a curiosity. I suppose I was I was television and film literate. So that's, how I came into the industry, just knowing a little bit about it. And then, you basically start to kind of network, and, you get to know people, and then it opens up to you. A whole industry world opens up to you that you don't really know is there. And that takes time to develop, it takes time to get to know people, and it takes time to build up all those contacts, but that's part of the career progression in this field. A lot of what I do, not coming from a media studies background, and coming from a background that was, in the humanities and in literature, which was a lot about just reading books and writing essays. There was a big, in a way, transfer of skills, into the industry that I now work, and a lot of my studies fed into what I do now. A lot of there's a common perception that when you work in television and film that it's all about cameras and it's all about shoots, but there's a lot behind the scenes that people don't see, and a lot of that entails a lot of people sitting at laptops and computers. We're always, the fuel of the industry is ideas. So we're constantly coming up with ideas. We're writing proposals, we're writing treatments, we're writing pitches. Communication is a big part of it. You're dealing with broadcasters, you're meeting commissioning editors, commission executives, you're talking to them about ideas, you're meeting them, you're meeting general people, the general public, you're contacting them, you're phoning them, you're emailing them, you're persuading them to take part in programs. So communication is a big part of what we do. Writing skills is a big part of what we do. And I suppose my studies in literature, in a way, helped me develop those writing skills and communication skills that fed into my current work, and particularly the early days when I was really just learning the ropes, and to be in the possession of those writing skills, those research skills, those interpretive skills were pretty essential, and really helped me develop in the industry, having not come from a media studies background. So those are the kind of, and I suppose that's something along the lines of the skills fair. A little bit about the industry. It is a demanding industry, like other fields and other areas of work. It demands confidence. You do need to be resilient. You need to be curious. You can't be afraid of talking to people because it's pretty much based on that. You've got to ask people to do things for you, and sometimes you're under pressure of time, time constraints. You've got to hit big deadlines to deliver projects on time and on budget. A lot of it is about persuading people to do things that they might not otherwise do. For instance, when I worked I've been interested in medical documentaries, and I worked on a 2-part series called The Hospital last year, which was filmed in some of our local hospitals. So while we had the access to surgical teams, surgeons and medical practitioners, we needed the access to patients in order to make the series work. So, you had to contact patients, you had to phone them, go and meet them and persuade them to take part in the program, actually persuade them to let us film their operations. So, your powers of communication and your skills and talking to people are really, really at the fore, in instances like that. And, it's all based on trust, and communication, and you're asking people to trust you, to let you into their lives, to tell their stories, to film with them, over periods of time. So while it is, it's an industry that is really, it can be from time to time quite demanding. It does require confidence and resilience. At the same time, you're always working as part of a team, and you all support each other. You work together with each other. You're always problem solving and doing that together. So while it does entail a lot of self-starting skills, you're always working as a team, and you work off each other and you work together. What was I going to say? So I mean, that's a little bit of, I think, I can give, there's lots of examples I could talk about in terms of the kind of work that I've done and work done, but I kind of wanted to focus on just, how I kind of went from my background in education, and particularly, humanities, and how I made the jump into the industry, not coming from a media studies background. My advice to anybody kind of, wanting to come into the industry would be, I think definitely if you're coming in from a background where you do have media studies, it does give you an advantage. You have learned the skills, from studying television and film, and all the theory that comes with that. And that can be certainly an advantage. And I think the first thing really is I would always encourage people to start preparing the ground before you leave your studies. I think it's really, really important, because you could spend, 3 years, 4 years studying and come out and find it very difficult to find your foothold in the industry and even find your entry into this industry. So you really need to be starting to do your homework on the industry and start to build up a network of contacts and people to allow you then to hit the ground running when your studies are over, rather than facing a very intimidating landscape where you would be finding it very difficult to, where do I start in this? Who do I talk to first? How do I make my career in this? So I would encourage people to kind of really use their time, maybe in their last year or during their degree or their master's, to start to contact companies, seek some, maybe work experience in companies, get to know people, establish those connections, and build up that kind of spider's web of, of network. And, as you get to know people and develop I remember, and everybody has their phones now, but when I started in the industry, in 1997, it was just before the era of the mobile phone, and I had a contacts book. I just, you wrote numbers into it and you wrote names, and I still have it. And I think the same applies today for anybody coming in the industry, is just to build up that contacts book, be it on your phone now or your laptop rather than an actual physical notebook. But it's all about getting to know people and just build up that network of people and contacts. So a company like us, do take people on work placement every so often, as do a lot of the other companies in Belfast and around Northern Ireland. So there are those opportunities available. BBC Northern Ireland is a really, really great scheme that is now probably in operation about 5 years. It's called Aim High. So I suppose anybody who's on the media studies, courses at UU might know about that. But I would really encourage people to apply for that. It's a great scheme for getting you into the industry. Over the course of a year, the participants, if they're lucky enough to get a place, will spend a number of months with a company on a rotating basis. So you move to about in the course of a year, you spend your time with about 4 or 5 companies in that period, and it's really, really good introduction to the industry. And we've taken on quite a most of our younger staff actually have come off aim high within the last 5 years. So that's a really, really great innovation, and is working very successful for people coming into the industry. I would say, apart from that, I would say, we'll try and work out. Try and just do a bit of research into, if you're interested in getting into the media industry, it's really find up, build a profile of all the companies that are out there. Most are on the net. You can get in contact with people. Just use everybody that you know to introduce you to somebody else, or pass on your contacts. I know there is, if you go online, there's an organization, I think it's a volunteer organization called Media Therapy, which kind of meet monthly, and they have social occasions and networking opportunities for you can come along to visit that and talk to people and get to know people. A lot of I guess a lot of jobs in this industry are not advertised in the local press. It's you see some every so often, but the majority of them really are on the radar, and they do you do get jobs in the industry by word of mouth. Companies are looking for somebody, without advertising, and people just pass around and move from company to company. But once you get into the world and get to know it, then you can gain experience and hopefully get your first job. And I think once you get your first job, you're in then, because it's so while it feels like quite a big industry locally here, it's quite a small industry in many ways. And if you work hard and you develop your skills and you make yourself known, the opportunities are there, and they can take you anywhere beyond here.
That's fantastic. That sounds brilliant.
Thank you.
That sounds really good. And I know obviously there are students out there who will have done some media in the background, but a lot of our students here today perhaps maybe have an interest in that field of study, but because they're studying maybe a social science or perhaps something that maybe isn't directly related, they've thought that was maybe out of their reach. So very interesting to know that you can still upskill. And I think the big takeaway from your talk now, Jonathan, has been networks.
Yeah.
Okay, so depending on the sector you want to move into, it's really, really important to take those networking opportunities. So that's fantastic, and I'm sure that you'll be able to help everybody in the breakout rooms as well as you move forward into those. So thank you, and we will move on then to Pat, and Pat has some slides, so I'm just going to share those for us. And, okay. Oh. Okay, so Pat, can you see those okay?
Oh. You hear me now okay, yeah?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you see the slides okay?
Yeah. See the slides,
Brilliant.
Thanks very much, yeah.
Brilliant, over to you then.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Pat McKenna. I work from the Department for the Economy and Employer Skills branch. And sorry, Laura, there's a problem here when I go to hit the arrow. It's not, oh, sorry, there we go. Yep, there we are. So I want to just tell you a little bit about Assured Skills Programme and what it actually does and what it achieves. It is a demand-led pre-employment training programme run by the Department for the Economy, and two main groups that we really work with. One is potential inward investment companies, and we work actually with Invest NI along with that. So that would be the new sort of foreign direct investment companies that are coming. There was an announcement yesterday of a new company. Unfortunately, we didn't work with them, but it's sort of those companies coming across from America, England, and from other parts of the world. And then obviously the second group that we work with is existing companies who are expanding. So we currently work with, for example, the likes of Pwc, Deloitte, and various other companies like that, and who were originally sort of foreign direct investment companies, but we were now class them as an existing company, as an Indigenous company, who are now expanding, looking to recruit people. Obviously, our ultimate goal is to contribute to the economic performance of Northern Ireland, and can be more to note now that really that's what we're doing, particularly in the circumstances that we all find ourselves with the pandemic. So really, companies wishing to fill with the programme, they normally will come to the department and say they have a number of job opportunities, and then we would sort of put in a recruitment process to sort of select people onto an academy, which I'll talk about later on, to recruit people onto that academy and then get trained. Hopefully at the end of that training, then the company will be do a final interview and then hopefully select people from that academy. Obviously would like everybody selected, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way. But the majority of people usually end up going into employment with the company that we would work with. So sort of Assured Skills itself sort of aims to provide assurance to employers that the skills they need to support and grow their business are available and learned. It adds skills and training support to the systems already available from InvestNI. In many respects, it sort of tips the balance in sort of bringing companies over here to Northern Ireland. And we've noticed more and more that Assured Skills has become very popular with companies because everything that we do, everything that we provide from the training, etc., is absolutely free. So I suppose in many ways it's a win-win situation for everybody, both for the companies and for those who participate on the actual academy as well too. Here's some facts just about Assured Skills. It's been in operation now since 2011, and sort of since that time we sort of upskilled or reskilled over 1,400 people to equip them with the skills needed to compete for the jobs for the companies that we work with. Once all the jobs have been realised, the benefit of the Northern Ireland economy will be sort of just under £300 million per year. So a substantial outturn for this programme. And as earlier on there, over 85% of all trainees on Assured Skills academies go on to secure permanent employment with participating companies. We deliver our training through the academy model, and we work with both the further education and the higher education sector to deliver that training. So what would normally happen is that if a company, for example, will take a foreign direct investment company who wishes to come over to Northern Ireland, they might have a 100, 200 person project. They usually will tend to put the people that sort of maybe are coming out of university, not the experienced people, because we were sort of a pre-employment program, so we wouldn't deal with sort of experienced hires. We would tend to deal with sort of pre-employment. So again, people come out of university. People who may be underemployed, I'm sure some of you will know as graduates that you maybe have part-time jobs. And sometimes what we have found is those people that are in part-time jobs, working in Tesco's, working on off-license, etc., sometimes when they leave university, they continue to work in that sort of area of work, which is perfectly fine. And then they maybe increase their hours, or whatever the case may be. We would class those people as maybe being underemployed because they're maybe not sort of in the field or in the area of work that they would like to do in relation to the degree that they've just sort of graduated with. And sometimes maybe we've also found that people, particularly single people who are living with their parents, there's no real great pressures on people to, you know, get a mortgage, get a car, you know, maybe get married, have a family, that sort of stuff. It's only when those sort of things happen in life that people do sort of sit up and maybe say, hold on, maybe I need to get myself a sort of a proper job, for want of a better word. So they can look to the Assured Skills program to see if that can assist. We also are finding that more people are coming through as career changes. Some people tend to think that our program is for people who are just coming out of university, who've just graduated with their degree. And it's not, it's for everybody that has it. So it might be somebody who's maybe came out with a degree in English, for example, and have found themselves working in the hospitality sector. But there may be somewhere down the line thinking, look, you know, there's no further career path for me. I can't develop my career any further. Maybe I'd maybe go into IT or go into some other area of work that we would look with or work with. So we're finding that career changers are becoming sort of more prominent in looking for our opportunities. And unfortunately, due to the current situation, we are finding that people obviously have been furloughed or maybe have made redundant. People are taking the opportunity now to sort of rethink what they want to do with their career, where do they want to go, and so on and so forth. So we deliver the training through an academy program, as I said, with the further and higher education sector. We find that we partner with the companies that we're working with, and between the three organisations, we will develop a sort of training program, which usually lasts sort of typically between 6 to 8 weeks. The entry requirements are obviously set by the companies onto the academy. The department then pays for everything. Everything is totally free, so that includes any advertising and the recruitment process that we look after. We don't do it as much now as we used to do, but we do psychometric testing. Some of the companies will look at. So it's a bit of an idea to get an understanding of where the individual is coming from, where their education level is at. But it's also to see if they can actually take the training that will be involved in the academy, and also to see if they can actually cope with what will be thrown their way in time to come when they actually go to start to work with companies as well. We pay for the course design and the course delivery, and during the time of the training, we'll pay for a travel allowance, which is £150 a week at the moment, and then we assist also with any travel So we have people that come to Belfast to train, maybe living in a Uri, maybe up in the northwest, in a skill, etc. We'll pay for their travel, and also we pay for childcare as well to assist those people who would require or need to avail of childcare. We already have a funding relationship with the colleges, so all costs are paid directly to the colleges. Although we pair up with a company and we tell the company that we're going to provide them with X number of thousands of pounds of support, in essence, the company actually don't see any of the money at all. It goes directly for those areas that I've indicated, and also goes directly to the colleges or the further education, the universities who actually deliver our training. So from a company point of view, it mitigates the risk during the recruitment process. New employees are more productive from day one, and DFE all the costs. So if, for example, a person goes on to an academy, goes through 6 weeks training, and at the end of the company finds that the person is not suitable, then they don't have to employ the person. So in many ways, we see the process as a very long, extended interview. But it also, if the person is unsuccessful, the person through the training is now a new set of skills. And hopefully those new set of skills will enable that person to go out and find roles in similar type of sort of jobs with similar type of companies that maybe the academy was being run for as well too. And as far as the candidate's concerned, as I say, it is reskilling and training of qualifications for in-demand sectors. So you'll see later on in the presentation the sort of areas that we've trained people in, and the sort of the number of the type of companies that we're actually working with as well. As the department, as the colleges are sort of an NDP of the department, we have we have to ensure that there's great interaction with employers, and that helps to expand and grow what the college actually does. Indeed, some of the programs that we have developed and delivered over the past number of years have actually now become part of the core curriculum of what the colleges actually have delivered as well too. This is an idea, a bit of an idea of what we have actually provided training for in the past. You'll see the list there: cloud computing, data analytics, data science. We've done artificial intelligence, it's not there, 2D animation development, financial services, legal services, marketing, etc. And you'll see welding, and unfortunately you see welding in there twice. But what we have actually found is that the program is open to everybody, but it does tend to be a graduate type program, simply because the companies we work with want to get graduates. But we are finding, excuse me, companies that have recently been looking for people with HND, HNC, and indeed we've done one recently there for people with A levels and GCSEs. And indeed, in the welding situation, we have done ones there where there's been no qualifications required as well too. So see it as an opportunity to get people into employment. So we have widened up our program, and at the moment we're actually trying to put together a new advertising campaign over the next couple of years. So hopefully, as that advertising campaign rolls out, you'll see the sort of roles. It's not just simply sort of a graduate who's just come out of university. It is for all walks of life as well too. Just an example now of some of the companies that we've actually worked with. In the foreign direct investment companies, Alexandra Solutions, PwC, Fintrue, Deloitte, TPI Cap. So really, really big players in the field, and where we have worked with a consortium of academies, which would basically be an academy that, say, a number of companies come together and they maybe don't have enough themselves as a company to run an academy, which usually is of 20 participants, but they might need, for example, they could maybe have opportunity for 3 or 4 people in software development. So they will come together with a couple of other companies, and there'll be enough there to make one academy, and we will run an academy for software development, that sort of thing. Again, you'll see by the names of the table, really big hitters again within sort of as well. So a lot of familiar names too. Just to give you a bit of a flavour, and we actually have a number of opportunities sort of at present. We've actually one that will close tomorrow with PwC, and that's the Data Analytics Academy. Fintrue Financial Services have an academy currently open at the moment, which will close next Friday, the 10th of July. And another one with PwC is a Testing and Automation Academy, which just opened yesterday and will close on the 21st. I know that we have another 3 academies in the pipeline. Indeed, one will be launching on Monday as well too, but they're going to be in financial services, a legal academy, and what we'll call a business sort of consultancy academy as well too. So there's a lot of opportunities. I suppose in many respects, some of the things that we have learned from the academy is that we obviously talk with graduates coming out all the time, and we have people coming out for the Friday reason say, you know, I went and done a law degree. I was forced to do the law degree because my family are in law, but I really don't want to do law. People may be coming out with other degrees who maybe can't get into the type of roles that they suspect they would get into. And this is where our assured skills actually steps in, because the training we can provide is like a conversion course. That academy is a conversion course, and we have numerous examples of showing people. For example, we have people with arts degrees, biology degrees, geography degrees, music degrees, who are now actually working in cybersecurity and working in artificial intelligence, and very, very successfully doing so as well too. So what we sort of say to people is when they're coming out of university is, look, if you can't get yourself a job, this is another opportunity. This is another alternative for you to try to get into employment. And as I see from the earlier slides, 80% of the people who go through the academy go on to employment. So it's highly, highly successful. And we have seen, actually, we will continue to follow the stories of some of these people that went through the academy process, who have gone on to do great and wonderful things with the company that they have sort of been working with, or indeed because of the academy, they have now got a new set of skills where they've actually went on, progressed up the ladder, and as you all know, have started to go around houses with the various companies as they get offers of the increase in salary becomes more apparent from them as well. So what we're saying to people is, look, all is not lost. It is an alternative, and it is a very serious alternative for people who have just graduated to give consideration to.
That's brilliant.
Okay,
Thank you,
Lauren.
Pat, for
Okay.
that. I'm just going to take your slides down for
Sure.
me. I think really hitting home with me was the 85% figure. Okay,
Yes,
and I'm
absolutely,
sure
yeah.
a lot of our students here joining us today perhaps had never heard of these Assured Skills Academies as well. So
yeah.
that was the reason I invited you along to speak today, because I know it's such a fantastic opportunity, given that so many of our arts, humanities and social sciences graduates don't actually have that defined career path, so they perhaps will
Sure.
want to look and upskill into a different area. So that's been really, really interesting.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, not at all.
I will go to Brian then for breakout groups. Is that
Yeah, okay, everyone. So you can hear me okay, yeah? So
Yes.
so what's going to happen now, everyone, is that thanks for your patience. This is quite a diverse session with lots to talk about, and we're conscious that the subject area and the breadth of subject areas the students are joining us from is quite spread out. But what we're going to do now, I think you've done probably enough listening. What we want to do now is to move into a more informal Q&A. Now, because we don't have really a large group, I'm going to split it up into two, what we call breakout rooms, and put two of our 4 speakers into each of those 2 groups. And really what is going to happen is I really want to focus this discussion on the students that are in attendance have just finished their studies. They're making this transition at this time, and I mean there's lots they'll learn from what you've said and what our speakers have said, but now's the chance to probe a little bit more and ask a few more specific questions. So we'll ask our students to switch on their audio at this point, and video if you so wish, and I am going to start the breakout rooms. So what'll happen, we'll spend probably maybe 10 minutes, between 5 and 10 minutes, Laura, in each breakout room, and after 5 or so minutes, we'll message our speakers to warn them that you've got a minute or 2 left before we move you and swap you into the other rooms, and then we'll give you a 1 minute warning, and then with no warning after that point, just you'll go from one room into the other. So yeah, this really relies on obviously our students who've been listening so far to get involved in this, have some just informal sort of discussions about this transition stage and what you guys have learned, and of course the opportunities that exist that we've just heard about, which are fantastic as a transition. So yeah,